Hello viewers and welcome to my first impressions video for Formula 1 2015 for the PC. Let's get down to business. In the background you'll see the introduction video that you get when you go on F1 2015 for a start. Much like you do in many other games now, it showcases two chrome cars driving around the track with some colours. There's lots of different things going on in the background, some reds, some silvers, some blacks, some chromes. It's really nice and it kind of sets the tone for the menu style which you've got in this game. Now I will be rating this game, it is a first view, but I will be rating it on the Don Shield rating. Yeah, the Don Shield rating. Now each category can get either 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 Don Shields depending on how good I think they are, with 5 being the best and 1 being the worst. So let's get down to it. Created by Codemasters and released for the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One and the PC, F1 2015 is the very first Codemasters title that has been released in the F1 franchise for the next gen consoles. It also includes a new graphics engine to match the new consoles. It also has a new handling engine which I will go into more detail about later. And there are many different new features which I'll be talking about. So first off, the menus. Simple, easy to use, and a much needed update from the previous F1 titles. I think very first change was F1 2012 from the previous sort of in the garage style from F1 2010 and 11. It lacks the immersion of that, and it still feels nice, but it's a much needed change, as I said just now. It feels really good, it looks nice, and it also gives the ability to drive all the way around nice and easily. There's no worries about getting stuck in the menus. Each one has its own separate area, so that's a nice thing to have. And also the menus allows you to go into the 2014 season. Just before the introduction you can do that, and also if you go into the settings, My F1, and you can switch it there and you can switch it back just as easily just from there. So for the menus, and because of the lack of immersion, I will be giving it a 4-star or shield rating out of 5. I do really like it, I think it's really good, and I don't think they can do too much to improve on it from looking as sleek and nice as it currently does. As you can see, there are 4 main racing types included in the release version: Time Trial, Multiplayer, Championship and Pro Season mode. Now I've yet to try Championship and the multiplayer racing, but with their own user career mode out of the way, I'm guessing Championship mode is much like career mode used to be, just the fact you can't have your own driver, so I guess it's going to replicate that. In my opinion, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Having your own driver can be quite difficult to get into. I never really was a massive fan of that. I did an old series back in 2013, F1 2013 about it, but it certainly wasn't something that I got into massively. However, Pro Season is really cool. I really like Pro Season mode. It's challenging, it's very fun to drive, you get 100% races, you get 100% practice, qualifying, all that good stuff, everything. You're really replicating a full F1 weekend 19 times over, or however many races over. It's also included in 2014, so you can have it for your F1 2015 and F1 2014, so you can have 2 on the go at once. You can have 2 teams, which is great if you want to drive the Caterham, because you can also drive the Caterham. It adds another dimension to your racing. You do have your race engineer, which I really like. It can be quite a challenge to do the voicing commands and everything, but it's all really good fun. Time Trial, that's your usual single player mode. That's the mode that I used most of all when I first got the game. I found it really difficult to get used to the controls, so I used Time Trial just to tweak the controls and not do anything too serious, just to get a feel of how I should be turning the wheel, where it goes, what the car's doing. It's really good fun, and it's good to get competitive on. There's a lot of competitive races that use Time Trial mode to put up good laps on the leaderboard. I think I'm currently number 30 something around Silverstone in the Williams or something like that, or Mercedes in one of the cars. So that is really cool. I also look to go through more of that in the future. So because of that, I will be giving the menus a 4 out of 5 star rating again, or shield rating as it is, the Don Shields. Yeah, Don Shields. I will be giving it a 4 out of 5 purely because with the exclusion of the career mode, it does feel as if you have lost some elements of the old F1 game, something that I really, well, I'd give it a go, but it's not something I particularly enjoyed. A lot of racers do, so because of that I do give it a 1 star less rating. Now moving on to the gameplay. The gameplay I like a lot. Where cars would feel really floaty in previous F1 games, especially 2014, this title has a much greater challenge involved to driving the cars and driving the cars quickly. As I said in the previous commentary video, this feels a lot like F1C, whereas F1 2014 feels very much like F1 2013.2. Force feedback is really good, a little weak in some places, which is to be understood, but it does have a good all-round feel to it. In previous titles, Codemasters had really substituted the good handling to command itself to the arcade sort of niche market, whereas now it feels a little bit more simulation, which is something that I'm really happy about. And I also think it's the best direction for them to be going in. Gameplay, however, does have a few downsides. With no addition to the safety car, the game feels a lot more like a step back from the previous 2 or 3 games where it was made, and with no virtual safety car as yet, it also feels like it's perhaps ruined it slightly. However, it is the very first release, so we're yet to see in any major upgrades or updates exactly what the game will have in store. Now, as well as this, there are quite a few bugs. One of which is the car in front of you, even though you've not got it ahead of you on the track, it says it in the timings ahead of you. This happened in my very first video that I uploaded when I was in the Williams around Silverstone. I'll put in the footage down there. You can actually see Vettel is top of the timing screens, and yet he's actually 4th or 5th place, and I'm sort of 2nd or 3rd. It was really strange. But there again, that's now been changed in an update, so that is all fantastic. As well as this, there is a weird bug where in the practice sessions cars come up with a left front puncture. I did say this in the last video, but cars do have a left front puncture as soon as they exit the garage when you are on track. Now if you come back in and then you fast forward it a little bit, this does change, but it is slightly annoying, and it's something that can ruin the fun of the game in any way. And another one of these bugs is also to do with the pit lane, and this is yourself when you're driving out. You can be stuck in second gear. Second gear. Of all the gears, second gear. You could be able to upshift or downshift once or twice, but as soon as you downshift once, it goes into second. As soon as you try to upshift, absolutely nothing happens. Nothing happens at all. Very, very strange. And because of this, I decided to split it up. I thought it wouldn't be quite fair to give it one overall mode or whatever, an overall gameplay streeled rating, so I've decided to split it up. One's going to be the handling, and I'm going to give that a 4-star. The handling's really good. I'm going to give that a 4-star rating, but the overall gameplay I'm going to give it a 3-star. I don't think it's fair to really keep them mixed up. I think it's better to just keep them separate, as they are really 2 different things. So a 4-star for the handling, but a 3-star for the overall gameplay. And finally, in this first impressions video, I'm going to be going over the graphics. Now with the new graphics engine, you'd have thought everything looked absolutely amazing, and it does. The shadows are lovely, everything was bound to move on, the trackside objects are very clear, the sunlight and the daylight and the nighttime effects are absolutely amazing. And even though I'm only running it on high with a few sort of ultra areas, it still looks amazing, and I don't have any issues at all with frame rate. Frame rate is something I haven't had an issue with, so optimization of the game has gone down a storm. I don't think that Codemasters could have really done much better to start with in terms of their lighting and their optimization and the trackside objects. However, there's one slight thing that does bug me, and that is the track. The track doesn't look right. I mean, they've got a few different bobbles going on, and the build-up of the track surface is slightly worrying. I mean, they've not really got a dynamic racing line that sort of grows every time a car goes over it. Sort of in the previous titles that would happen. You'd get build up of rubber on the side of the track, you'd get a dart line going through it as you go on the track, but now that seems to sort of diminish. There's not really one there. So when you're going through a long race like I was, I did the F1 Pro season, I did my first race, the build up of the racing line wasn't there, so finding your braking point was sort of a guess every lap. You couldn't really have any sort of, there was no consistency to it, and that's one thing that I would say that they should really try to aim on, and hopefully they will do that in previous sort of next builds or next games. Hopefully that'll be something they improve on. But for an overall first, go at a next gen console, I'd say the graphics are pretty good. Honestly, I don't have any issues with it, apart from sometimes having the odd issue when you're doing a braking zone with the track, but apart from that, I've not any issues. So for me, I'm going to give the graphics a 4.5. A 4.5, I think that's a fair rating. The 0.5% for the track is just a little nitpicking, but that's fair enough for me. Overall then, F1 2015 has been a very positive experience, with a lot of new engines in the game, including the visual and the physical, sort of the handling and the graphics engine, and the inclusion of new modes such as Pro Season. Codemasters, they just really need to sort out their bugs and issues at the minute, and that's about it. The PC's already had 2 patches, which has increased a lot of different things. They've improved it massively. I do think they need to do that a little bit more for the consoles, and they say they're working on it, so let's hope, fingers crossed, they have, because I think this could be a really good game. Because of that, I'm going to give F1 2014, in my first impressions, a 4-star rating, or a shield rating, whatever you'd like to call it. I call it a shield, you could call it a star. But I give it a 4 shield rating out of 5. The game has a few improvements to make, but so far, overall, it's a pretty complete game. I have had a lot of issues with people complaining, but honestly I've not had many at all. I've really enjoyed it. Over 12 hours played over the last few days, and I'm still going strong with it. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll be back with more F1 content very, very soon. If you did like this video, then please give us a thumbs up, and if you're brand new, then feel free to give us a subscription for more videos like this coming your way soon. I'll see you guys in my next video.